The practice of offering one's enemy the option of conversion is a Muslim institution that goes back to the time of Muhammad. In the last decade of his life, Muhammad sent letters to the princes, kings, and chiefs of most of the various tribes and kingdoms in the known world. This included Iran, the Byzantine Empire, Ethiopia, Egypt, Yemen, and Hira, modern-day Jordan. If the leader refused the invitation to convert to Islam, the Muslims were religiously, legally, and morally justified in declaring jihad against that kingdom. Around 636 AD, Muhammad's second successor, Caliph Umar, dealt the Persian Sassanid Empire a humiliating defeat at the Battle of Kusadiyah on the banks of the Euphrates River. In the aftermath of the battle, he sent the following letter to Shah Yazgerd III, Emperor of Persia. I do not foresee a good future for you and your nation, save your acceptance of my terms and your submission to me. There was a time when your country ruled half the world, but now see how your sun has set. On all fronts your armies have been defeated, and your nation is condemned to extinction. I point out to you the path whereby you might escape this fate, namely that you begin worshipping the one God, the unique deity, the only God who created all that is. I bring you his message. Order your nation to cease the false worship of fire, and to join us, that they may join the truth. Worship Allah, the creator of the world. Worship Allah and accept Islam as the path of salvation. End now your polytheistic ways and become Muslims, that you may accept Allahu Akbar as your savior. This is the only way of securing your own survival and the peace of your Persians. You will do this if you know what is good for you and your Persians. Submission is your only option. Allahu Akbar. Signed, Caliph Omar ibn Khattab. Yazgerd's response is one of the most eloquent rebuttals of Islamic aggression in all of history. Keep in mind this was almost 1400 years ago, the 7th century AD. Islam was a brand new upstart, but thousands of years of Persian civilization and 300 years of the Sassanid Empire were about to be crushed by its zealous warriors. In the name of Ahura Mazda, the creator of life and wisdom. In your letter you summon us Iranians to your God, whom you call Allahu Akbar. And because of your barbarity and ignorance, without knowing who we are and whom we worship, you demand that we seek out your God and become worshippers of Allahu Akbar. How strange that you occupy the seat of the Arab Caliph, but are as ignorant as any desert-roaming Arab. You admonish me to become monotheistic in faith. Ignorant man! For thousands of years we Iranians have, in this land of culture and art, been monotheistic, and 5 times a day have we offered prayers to God's throne of oneness. While we laid the foundations of philanthropy and righteousness and kindness in this world, and held high the ensign of good thoughts, good words, and good deeds, you and your ancestors were desert wanderers who ate snakes and lizards, and buried your innocent daughters alive. You Arabs who have no regard for God's creatures, who mercilessly put people to the sword, who mistreat your women, who attack caravans and are highway robbers, who commit murder, who kidnap women and spouses, how dare you presume to teach us, who are above these evils, to worship God? You tell me to cease worship of fire, and to worship God instead. To us Iranians, the light of fire is reminiscent of the light of God. The radiance and the sun-like warmth of fire exuberates our hearts, and the pleasant warmth of it brings our hearts and spirits closer together, that we may be philanthropic, kind, and considerate, that gentleness and forgiveness may become our way of life, and that thereby the light of God may keep shining in our hearts. Our God is the great Ahura Mazda. Strange is this, that you too have now decided to give him a name, and you call him by the name Allahu Akbar. But we are nothing like you. We, in the name of Ahura Mazda, practice compassion and love and goodness, and righteousness and forgiveness, and care for the dispossessed and the unfortunate. But you, in the name of your Allahu Akbar, commit murder, create misery, and subject others to suffering. Tell me truly, who is to blame for your misdeeds? Your God who orders genocide, plunder, and destruction, or you who do these things in his name, or both? You who have spent all your days in brutality and barbarity, and have now come out of your desolate deserts, resolved to teach, by the blade and by conquest, the worship of God to a people who have for thousands of years been civilized, and have relied on culture and knowledge and art as mighty edifices. What have you, in the name of your Allahu Akbar, taught these armies of Islam, besides destruction and pillage and murder, that you now presume to summon others to your God? Today my people's fortunes have changed. Their armies, who were subjects of Ahura Mazda, have now been defeated by the Arab armies of Allahu Akbar, and they are being forced, at the point of the sword, to convert to the God by the name of Allahu Akbar, and are forced to offer him prayers 5 times a day, but now in Arabic, since apparently your Allahu Akbar only understands Arabic. I advise you to return to your lizard-infested deserts. Do not let loose upon our cities your cruel, barbarous Arabs who are like rabid animals. Refrain from the murder of my people. Refrain from pillaging my people. Refrain from kidnapping our daughters in the name of your Allahu Akbar. Refrain from these crimes and evils. We Iranians are a forgiving people, a kind and well-meaning people. Wherever we go, we sow the seeds of goodness, amity, and righteousness. And this is why we have the capacity to overlook the crimes and the misdeeds of your Arabs. Stay in your desert with your Allahu Akbar, and do not approach our cities. For hard is your belief, and brutish is your conduct.